recording voices with the PowerPoint, so the PowerPoint will be up on the website with the voice along with it.
Thanks. So that means everything you say will be used against you. So keep your comments, relatively safe. Today we're going to be discussing outsmarting your brain, trick your mind to treat your finances. It's basically behavioral psychology in terms of your money. So it's a fun topic. We are going to be covering writing yourself forward change, setting goals, reducing your debt, curbing your spending habits, and then also some general habits to help you reach your financial goals. So just thinking about this, what do you guys want to change? You can go off that list, or you can, if you have other things you want to change, and it doesn't necessarily need to be money related. Any answers? Anyone want to share something they want to change? Dr. Lown? She's thinking, she's like, my life's perfect.
Yes, my life is perfect. Well, I think most people need to, my observation is most people need to reduce their debt, increase their savings, increase their fitness.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all good goals. So just think about this. A lot of these things, we're going to be using them in relationship to money, but you can transfer them into other areas of your life. All right, the 5 A's of successful behavior change. First, you need awareness. You need to realize that you want to change or improve something. That's pretty basic, right? Looks like people are taking notes. These are good ones to write down.
But also remember the PowerPoint will be up on the website.
Yes, that's right. Financial planning for women. Do we have that written up there?
What is, the website's on the little handouts.
Great, great. All right, your ability to change. Is this something you can actually control? I love the ones where people come in and they're like, sorry, Gary, I'm going to pick on men. They're like, I want my husband to change this. That does not work. This needs to be something that you can change. And also, do you need someone else to change with you? So if you do want, if you want to change your household finances, that might be something where you do need your spouse to be on the same page as you. Ambition. Consider your desire to change. There's a lot of things that I want to do, but am I willing to work for that? And I'm sure some of you can think of examples in your own life. Is it strong? Are you on the fence about it? Are you thinking, maybe I want to do this, maybe I don't want to do this? Am I willing to sacrifice for what I want? And also your attitude. Is it positive, negative, back and forth? Nothing can stop, oh sorry, this is a quote. Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goals. That's Thomas Jefferson, and I'm pretty sure he meant women with that too. So. And also actions. Start implementing the action that you would need to change certain behaviors. So you figure out what you want to change. Now you need an action plan. How are you going to change that? How are you going to reduce your debt, increase your savings? Things like that. Am I going too fast? Are you guys getting these? Not? Good. All right. Set SMART goals. Have you guys heard of these? Yes? Good. Got some nods. All right, so this is goal settings. Be specific. So you want to know what you want to change. It can't be, I want to lose weight. It needs to be, how much weight are you going to lose? Also measurable, that goes with like how much. So you want to lose this many pounds. Or kilos, right? Depending on where you're from. Is it attainable? And also keeping it relevant. So something that you're capable of doing, like I want to lose 30 pounds by next week, that might not, actually that would go more with attainable, that might not be something that you can do. And then also time bound, that's where you set the deadline. I'm going to do this by this date. All right, goal setting. Write your goals down where you will see them. Goals that are not written down are just wishes. That is actually very important. That's part of the psychological thing. It gets you really thinking about the goal, and it's written in stone, not literally, but It makes it more important. Also, you can use websites. Some websites can send you reminders on your goals. So stickk.com is a good website. And also the mint.com one will actually send you reminders to your cell phones and update you on your progress towards your goals or reminding you that you should be doing this. It's awesome websites. And there's other ones out there too if you Google it. You guys are so good taking notes. Dr. Lown, get going. All right, the power of focus. Focusing on too many things can be overwhelming. Have you guys experienced that?
Yeah.
Sounds like we got some laughs, yes. So should you, when it comes to money, do you pay off debt? Do you increase your savings? Do you start investing for retirement? What about saving for a down payment on a home? I'm not sure if any of you guys are in that boat, but some of us are. Which one of those should come first? Like that, when you start thinking about all those goals and all those things that you want to aim for, that starts to get overwhelming. So it might be better to focus on one goal at a time. So you and your spouse, if that's applicable, can start saying, these are the things that we'd like to do, but which one of these should come first? And then focus on that, get that one done, and then start working on the next one. Any of you guys ever heard of Dave Ramsey? Dr. Lown, yes. Yes. Okay, this is Dave Ramsey's baby steps. It's an idea. It's not necessarily going to be the thing that you need to do, but an idea. So step 1 is the $1,000 baby emergency fund. And so you get that done. You get your emergency fund done, the baby one. And then you move on to step 2, which is pay off all debt using the debt snowball. And then once you're done with that, then you go back to the emergency fund and you finish that. 3 to 6 months is what Dave Ramsey recommends, and that might depend on your situation, so you can adjust these. Remember, you want to make your goal realistic to you. What do you want, so not necessarily somebody else's goals. And then actually, Dave does steps 4, 5, and 6 all at the same time. So you start investing 15% of your income into a retirement account. So that can be a 401k, Roth IRA, and then kids' college fund if that's applicable. And then finally, pay off your home early is step 6. And then once you're done with those 3 steps, then Dave recommends that you move on to step 7, which is build your wealth and give it away. So start investing more and give more money to other people. Food for thought. All right, so trick your mind to get out of debt if that's on your to-do list. One thought, remember this is psychology based, not necessarily math based, is to pay off debt smallest to largest instead of by interest rate. Does anybody know why? Aside from Dr. Lown. Has anyone ever heard this? Yes.
Because the smaller ones are easiest to take care of and you see success.
Exactly, that's right. So it says it gives you the quick win feeling. You're more likely to keep going if you feel like you're making progress or success. And also you get fewer bills in the mail, and that's takes away that overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, I've got to pay all these bills, and then slowly you just knock down the number of bills that you have to pay every month. It's not always about the math. Sometimes it's about the behavior. So if you're running the numbers, it would be best to pay off your debt by the interest rate. But sometimes we don't act with what's best. Does that make sense? Like, sometimes we are more of like, wow, I just paid off that small debt. Yes, it was 5% interest versus 18, but now that's gone. I'm going to keep going at it. And this does not mean you have to do this that way to get out of debt. It's just a way to trick yourself into getting out of debt. All right, visually track your progress. It helps remind you of your goals. And seeing the progress, it helps keep you motivated. And it also can get your family involved. So if you have younger children or even a spouse that you want to motivate, is having the visual there, your family will be excited to see your progress. Also, depending on where you have it, others may ask questions or make comments as they see your progress. They'll be like, oh, what are you doing? And then later you run into them and say, how are you doing on that goal? You know, and then you can update them and you've got some peer pressure there. This bottom thing is from tickerfactory.com, and you can use it. Does anyone blog in here or use social media websites? Yes, okay. You can actually use this and you can put it on your website. I think the next slide we have the URL for that. And you can put it on like whatever site you use, and you can do it in a percentage, so you can say, look, we're saving up this money, but nobody actually knows how much money you're saving. And then they can ask your progress, and as you update that, then it just updates automatically to your website. It's kind of cool, and it's free. You can also use the phone app we talked about, mint.com. Use a debt or savings thermometer. Has anyone ever seen those? We're saving for a vacation, and then you mark down every $100 or so that you get. And then tickerfactory.com was the one that we were talking about earlier. And then also another way to track is powerandpay.org. And we have more information on that on our Financial Planning for Women website. I'm not going to go into too much with that, but it's a great website for tracking your progress and setting your goals.
So that's like this debt snowball that Dave Ramsey talks about, the power pay.
It is, and actually, and that's one where you can set it. You can say, I want to pay it smallest to largest. I want to pay it by interest rate. I want to pay it by most important debt. Like maybe you want to pay off the IRS before you pay off, I don't know, your car loan, something like that. It's an awesome website if you haven't used it, and it's also free. And it was created by USU Extension, correct? Yep. So, all right, get out of debt. I don't actually want to raise a hand, but just think about it. If you feel overwhelmed with your debt, the amount of debt, it's one of those things where it might be best to cut it into pieces that you can mentally handle. So if you've got, say, $10,000 or $100,000, then if you just focus on the first little chunk of that and you decide how much that is and focus on paying off that, we're not going to it's like running a marathon, right? Has anyone ever done that? No, me either. I've done it half. But you don't focus on the full 13 miles. You think about it. I'm going to run 1 mile. And then when I get there, then we'll move forward. But we're not going to think about the rest. We're just going to do that one step at a time until we get there. You can do that by amount. You can also do that by a time frame. So you can say, we're going to focus on 1 month. This month, we're going to pay off $500. We're not going to worry that we've got actually $50,000 to pay off. This month, we're only going to worry about that, or this day, or this week, depending on where you are. And also remember the R in SMART, make it relevant and realistic. That's a big thing with setting goals, is it needs to be realistic. All right, celebrate your victories, no matter how small. I love this. So we've actually gone through the debt journey, like paying off all our debt, and we've actually done the weight loss journey. I'm sorry, Dr. Lana, it comes up in everything, but weight loss too. And I think it's hard to see how much more you've got to go on that, how much more debt you have to go, or how much more weight you need to lose, how much more money you need to put in savings. So we just started celebrating things. It helps motivate you. You look forward to it. You know that the next $1,000 or $10,000 that you pay off, then you are going to do something that's important to you. That stays with the R of being realistic. It rewards your progress. So you're like, man, if we just work really hard, then we're going to get whatever our reward is. Gives you an incentive to work towards goals. And this, again, keep it personal. Do something that you want to do, not something that I say you should do, or not something that somebody else says you should do, but something that you think you should do to celebrate. And also a reminder, do not go into debt to celebrate these small victories. Some people do that. They pay off a credit card, so they go use the credit card to celebrate it. It does not work like that. You've got to get out of those habits. All right, when borrowing money, beware of tactics that are designed to trick you. They're very common. Increasing credit card limit. Has anyone experienced that? I'm sure we all have. Yeah. Some people mistake that for meaning that they're living their lives the way they should, financially speaking. And so they think that the banks are saying, oh, you can handle this at higher credit limit. And so they go out and then they max that card up. And that's a problem. That's really not good. So when they increase your credit card limit, it doesn't mean that you can afford to borrow more money or to charge more. Also beware when the cost is shown per month. I think we see that a lot, especially with car ads. And I think we see that with rent-to-own ads as well, right? And also watch out when the payments drag out for a longer period of time so that they fit into your budget. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they've got 45-year mortgages now and 10-year car loans. So when you're looking at this, you're like, oh, it fits into our budget, but you're not realizing that you're paying for that. If it's a home the next 45 years, are you even going to live that long? Are you going to live in that home that long, you know? And then the car loan, as most of you guys know, car loans or cars go down in value, but then you're paying for the car for 10 years, and that's crazy. In fact, there was a story of one guy that got I think he got a 63-month car loan. And the reason he got a 63-month car loan was because that's what fit into his budget. So it wasn't the standard, like 60 months or 48 months. It was, they stretched out the loan so that it would fit into his budget. But the result in that is that you pay a lot of money in interest over a long period of time. So our government concerns these poor people.
I'm concerned about the 45 years.
Yeah.
Because I wonder about people who say are in their 30s and get a 45-year mortgage and then they're in their 70s.
Yeah, in their 70s and they're ready to retire and they still have a mortgage. That's a scary place to be. And then their 10-year car loan following them around.
I'm more concerned about the arms.
Oh yeah. Borrowing money, interest rates shown per month. I'm afraid that's becoming more common, but we're not seeing a lot of it still. But sometimes you see that with payday lenders and other risky loan types, which is really scary. So they advertise it as like 10%. And you're like, okay, well, that's not too bad. But then it's 10% a week, which ends up being like 520%. So if you're looking at getting a loan, beware. Make sure it's shown an annual percentage rate. And I would recommend staying away from payday lenders. That's not a good place to be. All right, questions, comments, concerns? We're not done. Shuri's going to take over, but
Just want to mention that all the stuff is based on behavioral psychology research, and so we aren't giving you the research citations, but there is good fundamental research behind these.
and some of them have them at the bottom of the screen, and I've been forgetting to mention them. I'm sorry. We did not make this stuff up.
Okay, thanks, Erica. Now Shuri Hepworth is going to take over.
I guess we should do it on that side. I might. Okay. Okay. So now we're talking about spending and how to curb those spending habits. Paying with cash. These are some studies that some statistics that they found. McDonald's allowing credit card purchases increased the average transaction from $4.50 to $7. So just from switching from using those cash to the credit card, you're spending an extra $2.50. Or yeah. The Journal of Experimental Psychology found that cash discourages spending, and credit cards and gift cards encourage it. Credit card users spend 12 to 18% more when using credit cards instead of cash, and spending on those credit cards increases even more when the credit cards offer rewards or cash back. So they're kind of tricking you, like, oh yeah, you're getting something from spending all this money, but really, if you rack up your credit card debt, then you're going to be paying them a lot more than they're actually giving you back. So, why? Why do we spend more money with credit cards than we do with cash? Does anybody want to take a guess?
You can't see how much money you really have.
Yeah?
It seems invisible.
So, losing something makes you twice as miserable as gaining the same thing makes you happy. So, basically, when you're paying with cash, it induces a feeling of loss. So you're giving away those bills. And when you swipe a piece of plastic and you actually get it back and put it back in your wallet, you don't really feel like you just spent $500 on a TV or something. You still feel it, but it's not as big as actually having to give those bills away.
Actually, I want to add something here. This is based on functional magnetic resonance imaging tests where they actually connect people's brains. And people really do feel pain study is there. And that book, Nudge, is written for the general public. It's a great book if you just want to learn a little bit more and think more about some insight into your own behavior. And it's not just about finances. They talk about health behaviors, a lot of related things.
I don't know about anybody else, but for me, when I'm paying cash and I'm looking at what I'm handing out, what goes through my mind is, oh, it just took me 2 hours of hard work to
We're going to talk about that.
pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas when you're paying, I don't want to say that a credit card is free money. It's not. You're paying, but when you've got a credit card, you just, and then, like I pay mine off every month, but still, you know, I'm more apt, like it showed, I'm more apt to spend more on the card than I am for cash.
Mm-hmm.
So,
The problem is cash is going away. I mean, you never pay, hardly ever pay with cash anymore.
right.
So there's gotta be something to replace it with, like maybe punch your credit card or something, controls it.
Most retailers will still take cash.
Yeah, well, it's just like being here on campus. I put so much money on my card that you have on campus, and you just go and you buy whatever your necessities are with the card. And then there'll be times when they tell you, well, you got this much left, or they don't tell you at all.
Yeah.
When you're pulling out cash and you're looking at it as you're giving it, it's like, maybe I could-
Ouch. That hurts. I don't want to take that, especially when it's big bills for me.
Yeah,
If it's a 50 or 100, I really don't want to see that broken down. I just want to keep it nice and pretty in my wallet. So, all right. So this is some suggestions on how to reduce your spending. So, paying with cash, like I just mentioned. You don't want to see that money go. You want to keep it like a nice little pile in your wallet. And it's all kind of on an individual basis. So for you, if cash burns a hole in your pocket, carry less of it. You can try the envelope method. This kind of goes along with that. So not everyone using credit cards will spend more than with cash, but if you need help cutting your spending, switching to cash for discretionary spending can help. So, you know, just putting some, like, say you budget like $40 a month for entertainment. You just put that in an envelope in cash in your wallet, and then once it's gone, and then you can't force yourself to keep spending more on it every month or eating out. You can do it for all those types of things. We don't really recommend it for like mortgage or rent payments, but just those other kind of variable expenses. Okay, and this is going back to what Gary was talking about, converting your consumption into labor. So when you're deciding whether or not to make we said big ticket purchase here, but it could be any big or small, any kind of luxury, frivolous type of purchase you want to make. Convert the price of the item into the number of hours you would have to work to purchase it. So here's kind of like the equation. You take the price of the item divided by your hourly wage, and that tells you how many hours you need to work. So if you want to buy an $899 flat screen TV and you make $8.25 an hour, which is kind of realistic for us little college students, that equals about 109 hours that you have to work to pay for that TV.
I forgot when we were going through the slides that of course it's much more than that because you have to pay income tax,
Mm-hmm.
Social Security, your FICA tax. Yeah. And so you're actually working a lot more than 109 hours.
Yeah, so maybe this would be kind of a realistic example if you're making $10 an hour or so after all the deductions and everything. So anyway, that translates into 2.7 weeks of full-time work to pay for that TV. You got to kind of weigh your costs and, pros and cons of that. That's a lot of time.
Your Money or Your Life is the title of a book that's widely available, probably written maybe 15 years ago. And it goes into this in a whole lot more detail. So if this concept kind of resonates with you, you might want to check out that book, Your Money or Your Life.
All right. Another way you can curb your spending is the step-down principle. This was developed by Alina Johnson. She's a professor up here on Utah State. So basically what you're doing is you're stepping down from an expensive purchase to a less expensive option. It achieves both goals. You get what you want, but you spend less money on it. You can use this for discretionary spending, such as eating out, clothes, cars, vacations, etc. Here's an example. So the most expensive thing you could buy, it says, it's hard to read, but it says buying 4 pancakes and a drink for breakfast for you and a friend. So if you go, you know, to IHOP, it's going to cost you $18.10 plus a tip. To take one step down, you could, you know, switch over to McDonald's. It'll cost you $10.55. Take another step down, and you're going to buy frozen pancakes and bottled juice from the store. Another step takes it down to pancake mix and frozen juice, and the lowest step, in theory, that you can take is making your juice from scratch. Oh, I mean your pancakes from scratch and hand squeezing your own juice, and that'll cost you $1.15 for both of you and their friend. So you can kind of just think about that. I mean, there's lots of areas you can use it for. Okay, so this goes to the general strategies we were talking about earlier. Make it automatic. Banks let you set up automatic withdrawals from your checkings to savings, investments, and bill payments. So I kind of have an experience with this. I'll tell you about it on a couple extra slides, but basically you can just sign up and say, I want to, you know, on my payday, I want you guys to take out this money for my bills, this money for my savings, and this money for my IRA. And it helps a lot because once you set it up, it's out of sight and out of mind. You don't have to keep worrying about every paycheck. Oh yeah, I've got to go pay this bill. I've got to go put this money into my IRA. It's done. Once it's done, you don't have to think about it anymore. It's a lot easier. The biggest step is taking the time to set it up. So that's where a lot of people kind of fall short, is on the execution. Trick yourself. So pre-commit, this is a new kind of thing. Pre-committing to a decision. Consumers are more impatient in the near term than in the long term, and they seek instant gratification, which is kind of a basic idea. Most people know that. We'll commit to saving $100 5 weeks from now, but we won't commit to saving $100 this week. So this is kind of my example, as I set up at my bank for my next paycheck to start taking out $75 every check. And I think once you get that money, you're like, well, I already have all these ideas in my mind about where I want this money to go. I can't just fork out, you know, $100 because this money's already spent in my mind. So you want, you know, 5 weeks from now, yeah, that's fine. You can take $100. I can do that. And I did that, and I've been spending, you know, saving $150 a month ever since, and it pays off. It's a really good idea. So how to do this at your place? You can do it with your 401k, like at work. Emergency savings, power payments, student loans, credit card payments, and you just sign up so that it will start in a couple weeks or months from now, and you're less likely to undo that decision and more likely to start a good habit. Commitment. Unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans. Okay, increase the cost of not doing something now by using commitment contracts. So this goes back to what Erica was talking about, the Stickcom. It's really kind of an interesting thing. You guys should go check it out. If you don't so you set up a goal and you arrange it so, you know, I want to lose 5 pounds in 1 month. So if you don't do X, so if I don't lose 5 pounds in this 1 month, I have to pay $20 to an anti-charity of my choice. So I can just choose some kind of charity that I absolutely hate. And then it will, if you don't do it, then it will automatically take that money because you signed a credit card up with it, or not a credit card, but just an account up with it, and it will take that money out of your account and hold it. And then by the end of the term, so you know, 6 months from now, and I haven't lost the set amount of weight or whatever, or reduced the set amount of debt, it will just take that money that it's taken away from me and automatically just go give it to those people that I didn't want it to go to. So it's a big reward to do what you say you're going to do, because it's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you because you really don't want your money to go to some weird organization that you don't support.
And now's a good time to talk politics and say, you know, if you support one candidate, make a commitment that you'll contribute to the opposing candidate if you don't meet your goal.
Mm-hmm. Another thing if you don't trust yourself to report honestly to this website, you can have your friend, you know, come check your bank statements every month and say, oh yeah, you didn't reduce your debt like you said you were going to, and report it, and then they'll just take it. So they can kind of make sure that this kind of proceeds like you want it to. So you can use it for paying off debt, starting your retirement, sticking to your budget, weight loss, smoking cessation, etc. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Yeah, there's a whole book about this. Ian Ayres is the author of the book, and you can find information at the Stick.com website. And, you know, he's a professor, I think, at MIT. So all the stuff that we've been talking about has got good, solid research behind it.
No questions? Okay. I didn't even know that did that. Anyway, telling others about your goals helps you stick to them. Regular reminders from friends and family increases likelihood of success. So we're suggesting that you self-inflict peer pressure to improve your financial situation. Failure to follow through will result in your anti-charity receiving an automatic donation from you. So I don't think any of you want that. So sign your contract today.
This reminds me of, you know, if you read the Herald Journal, but 2 years ago, they had an article about weight loss, and I think they had 4 men. One of them was Brian Earl, who works for Utah Public Radio. Another was Dave Christian, who's a vocal psychologist. I don't remember the other 2, and they were all gonna, this is public, I mean, published in the paper, photos of them and their goals for weight loss. And so, you know, people were coming up to these guys and saying, all right, how you doing? So they went very, very public with their goal to lose weight. They had photos of what they looked at like beforehand. I think they followed up. I can't remember exactly. I just remember the initial article. So that's a, you know, that's a real commitment, real public embarrassment if you don't meet your goal there.
And that's kind of the same idea with this too. I mean, if all your friends know about it and you're not sticking to it, it kind of makes you feel a little guilty if you don't follow through with your plans.
So are you shaving yourself into the goal?
Basically, yeah. I mean, if you don't follow through, it's a lot of peer pressure on yourself. So remember, think you can, think you can't. Either way, you'll be right. So resolve now to save up or reduce debt or whatever your goals are. And then this is just talking about future financial planning for women. So we have another presentation tonight if you guys want to come or have friends that you want to bring or whatever. And then the next one will be in November. It's on 6 steps to increasing your financial fitness. Same time and same places as these ones are. December we won't have one. And there's our website, the blog, and we also have Facebook. So
I would just show people the blog. If you can click on that. Those of you that have been with financial planning for women for a while know that I used to